Thank you, Peter. Welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Fellowship at Stony Brook's online service. I'm glad that thanks to an amazing team of behind-the-scenes tech experts, we can be together virtually during this time that our sanctuary remains closed. These times that we are living in are challenging in so many ways. It is good that we can share this time and space together. My name is Ellen Bartley, and I am so happy to be serving as worship associate today with our service leader, Laurie Filstrup. Our minister, Margie Allen, is finishing up her study leave and will return to the pulpit next Sunday. Today, we wrap up our summer series in which members of our congregation have been sharing places and practices that feed their spirit. If you missed any of them, you can find them archived on our website, UUFSB.org. Laurie, our service leader for today, was born and reared for her first 18 years in Oregon. Laurie left home for a small Michigan liberal arts college and hasn't stopped traveling yet. Although she initially wanted to be a simultaneous translator at the United Nations, she became a librarian instead. After 40 years as a librarian at the Library of Congress, an academic librarian in North Carolina, and several public libraries, she's now retired. This leaves her free to pursue genealogy at home and in many other states. Today, she shares with us some of her journeys. I want to offer a special welcome to any of you who are joining us today for the first time. Our services really do vary a great deal from week to week, both in content and in style. This is true of both our online services as well as our in-person services. We hope that you will continue to join us online until we can resume meeting face-to-face, at which time we hope you will join us in our beautiful sanctuary on Nichols Road. During the service, I invite you to light your candle or chalice when I light mine, and I encourage you to sing along with all of the hymns. As usual, we will leave the chat open at the end of the service for a virtual coffee hour. This requires us to restore audio and video for each attendee individually, so please be patient for the minute or so that this will take. During the virtual coffee hour, directly following the virtual coffee hour, there will be an opportunity to meet with a few folks in small group chats, which will provide the opportunity for real conversation. You'll either get to catch up with folks you know or have the chance to get to know someone else a little better. To join the small group chat, after you say your hellos during coffee hour, you will need to leave this meeting and join the separate group chat. There is a link to do this on our webpage, UUFSB.org, or in yesterday's special news feed. And finally, please keep up with fellowship and denominational news by reading our weekly email news feeds, our monthly newsletter, and updates posted on our website. Now, as we enter into the sacred space of worship, I sound the morning bell. Our chalice lighting words this morning are from Gordon McKeeman. Deep calls unto deep, joy calls unto joy, light calls unto light. Let the kindling of this flame rekindle in us the light of love, of peace, of hope. As one flame lights another and grows nonetheless, we pledge ourselves to be bearers of the light wherever we are.
Our opening words today are from David Wagner, a poem called Lost. Stand still. The trees ahead and bushes beside you are not lost. Wherever you are is called here, and you must treat it as a powerful stranger, must ask permission to know it and be known. The forest breathes. Listen, it answers. I have made this place around you. If you leave it, you may come back again saying, here. No two trees are the same to raven. No two branches are the same to wren. If what a tree or a bush does is lost on you, you are surely lost. Stand still. The forest knows where you are. You must let it find you. Please join us now in singing hymn 318, We Would Be One. After a brief introduction, we will sing both verses. We enter into a time of meditation in words, in silence, and in song. After the words by Arthur Graham, there will be a minute of silence. Peter will bring us out of the silence with hymn number 123, Spirit of Life. Each of us is an artist whose task it is to shape life into some semblance of the pattern we dream about. The molding is not of self alone, but of shared tomorrow and times we shall never see. So let us be about our task. The materials are very precious and perishable. In the moment of silence, think about those who are in your community, who share your dreams of tomorrow and share the task of creating possibilities.
Thank you, Peter. One of our spiritual practices at worship each week is to take a collection which we share with a local nonprofit agency working for social justice. The Social Action Committee has decided to commit the social justice portion of our Share the Plate donations for May through August to emergency food assistance. 80% of the social justice portion of the donations will be given to Island Heart Food Pantry in Middle Island, and 20% will go to members of UUFSB who need food assistance during this difficult time. We will purchase food cards for Reverend Margie to dispense through the minister's discretionary fund. Please continue to be generous with both your pledges and with our Share the Plate donations. Since we can't actually pass the plate, there are several ways that you can still donate. You can use the donate button on our website, use PayPal, or a bank bill pay service. You can mail a check to the fellowship. However you decide to donate, please be sure to indicate how you would like the money to go, to your pledge or to social justice. To do so, please use the memo line on your check or the notes or memo section of PayPal or your bank's bill pay services. There are more detailed instructions for the Share the Plate donations in the newsfeed that was mailed yesterday. Thank you for your contributions to further the work of both our congregation and Island Heart Food Pantry.
Sunday morning, there is some place that I'm supposed to be. Keeps returning, the feeling keeps coming over me, just like music or like sunlight on a distant memory. Sunday mornings, Sunday mornings. My mother choosing what to wear. My father combs his jet black hair. We are their little prizes in our Mary Janes and clip-on ties. We hurry down the aisle. The neighbors smile because we're late again on Sunday mornings. There is some place that I'm supposed to be. It keeps returning. This feeling keeps coming over me. It's just like music or like sunlight on a distant memory. Sunday mornings, Sunday mornings. Daddy prays because the money's tight. Mama prays she'll raise her children right. And my brother prays he'll change so he won't feel so very strangely out of tune. And I went back the other day. I closed my eyes and tried to pray, but a voice spoke loud and clear. You ask too many questions, dear. And I said, you ask too few. That's why I still don't know quite what to do on Sunday mornings. There is some place that I'm supposed to be. Sunday mornings, Sunday mornings.
Thank you, Tom. That was beautiful. When we travel, Chris and I make an effort to attend UU services. We enjoy meeting other UUs and seeing how services differ from UUFSBs. The new locale and the new service are always both familiar and unfamiliar, like a food we've eaten before, but with new spices. We have gained comfort and a bit of adventure being part of the denomination, being part of a national organization. Today, I'm going to share with you our visits to 4 congregations located in Athens, Ohio, Grand Forks, North Dakota, Washington, D.C., and Hartford, Connecticut. Although UU congregations come in many varieties, we've noticed that some UU sanctuaries have pews, usually older and bigger congregations, and some sanctuaries, such as our own, have used folding or stackable chairs. Also, when we travel, names are important. A religious organization with UU or just a U in the name tells us that we will be welcomed and that we will find a Sunday service that will be both familiar and dissimilar. As a denomination, UUs embrace a lot of diversity within a set of commitments. Just as there's diversity in the services at UUFSB, so is there diversity in rituals and tone among the different UU congregations. The image of the forests in the opening poem applies. There are pine forests, hardwood forests, redwood forests, tropical forests, and so forth. What is similar is a concentration of trees. What is varied is the type of tree and their natural environment. The closest we came to a forest dwelling in our travels was the Unitarian Universalist Fellowship of Athens, Ohio in 2015. A university town, Athens was also the site of post-Revolutionary War bounty land grants, which ancestors of Chris's came from Connecticut to take up in lieu of military wages. In trying to find records of those first citizens of Athens, we not only found a lovely forested UU fellowship, but also a log cabin built by one of Chris's ancestors, his great-great-great Uncle Silas Bingham, who fought with the Green Mountain Boys in Connecticut during the Revolution. In Athens, he was sheriff, and his brother Alvin, from whom Chris is directly descended, was the judge. So they were a powerful law and order force in Athens. Now, this log cabin is now serving as a visitor center on the campus at University of Ohio, at Ohio University. The UU Fellowship in Athens started very much like Stony Brook in 1958. During the 1950s and early 60s, they eventually acquired land and built their own fellowship. The members actually designed and built the fellowship during the next 10 years. A sculptor, engineer, architect named John Spofforth designed the brick wall and columbarium that are part of the entrance to the building. This is a distinctive brickwork that was all hand set by the members of the congregation. Member engineers also designed the heating system, and they recycled the wood for the floor in their sanctuary from the old woman's gym at Ohio University. And the glass windows that you see in this brick wall come from the local Fenton Glass Works, which now is called the Fenton Art Glass Works. And they're now located in West Virginia, but they started in Ohio. So members also create a lot of special music for the Athens Fellowship. And here's an example of one of the local musicians with his own handmade instrument. We're still not sure exactly what it's called, but it was beautiful. And we got to talk to the fellow after the service. On our visit, we marveled as we drove up the hill on which the UU Fellowship now stands, surrounded by trees, and we were struck by the familiarity of the ribbon-covered maypole and how similar it was to the one that our own Reverend Margie Allen had us put together the year before we made this trip to Athens. We enjoyed a homily, the Athens UU building and grounds are maintained by members. They recently had installed a new walk of slate leading from the parking lot to the sanctuary. This fellowship uses folding chairs in the sanctuary instead of pews. In 2017, another genealogy trip took us to Grand Forks, North Dakota, a city on the western side of the Red River. You'll see in this picture, the Red River is designated in blue, and it actually runs north, which is kind of unusual for a river. It flows north into Canada and Lake Winnipeg. Now, on the eastern bank of this river, you see Minnesota, East Grand Forks. But on the western side is the town Grand Forks, North Dakota. And if you look at the black dot in the lower left corner, that's where the UU Fellowship is located, in Grand Forks. Well, the University of North Dakota and the Air Force Base nearby are the main employers in the town. We also discovered that Grand Forks is a major sugar beet processing production facility for the Midwest, and we could tell that because of the odor in the air as we drove through town. The Grand Forks congregation consists of 12 members, so it's probably the smallest congregation that we've ever been to. They meet weekly during non-quarantine periods in the offices of a downtown law firm, therefore folding chairs and no pews. The sanctuary could seat up to 12 people comfortably, and they have access to a small social area and an even smaller kitchen. Attendance at the service that we went to was 8 people, including us. They used a boombox for music, and it was a lay-led service, which we're accustomed to. We sang hymns, same hymns out of the same hymnals, participated in a responsive reading from our hymnal, and enjoyed a homily on the divine within each of us. Our leaders' readings were from Ralph Waldo Emerson. Members included one African-American man and a female descendant of Icelandic pioneers who settled first in Canada and then moved to North Dakota. At coffee hour, she gave us a lively account of her genealogy and also her life as a nurse at the local hospital. The congregation may have been small, but it was decidedly UU. Our daughter lives in Washington, D.C., and we've attended many services at Washington's All Souls Church Unitarian, and that is the name of their church. They did not embrace the UU when they named their church. But the congregation was founded in 1821 as the first Unitarian Church of Washington, and early members included President John Quincy Adams, pictured here, and Vice President John C. Calhoun. Samuel Longfellow, who was a brother of the poet Henry Wadsworth Longfellow, was a minister at All Souls. And founding members included slaves, freed slaves, merchants, immigrants, laborers, and politicians. Paul Revere's son designed the church bell, and it's still being used today at All Souls in Washington. All Souls has been at the center of social justice actions, including the abolition movement, the civil rights movement. It was All Souls minister James Reeb who was killed during the Selma marches for voting rights. They've also advocated for marriage equality, refugee relief. It's partnered with many organizations over the years to provide services to the homeless, to provide medical clinics for people who need medical treatment, surplus food distribution, and they even shipped 1/2 ton of school supplies to Hiroshima after the World War II bombings. Today, the church helps to coordinate a lot of social justice marches in the Washington, D.C. area. And they also find housing for people who come for the marches and meeting places for out-of-town marchers. In 1924, the church moved to this building, its current location at 16th Street and Harvard Street in Northwest DC. The building was patterned after London's St. Martin in the Fields Church and incorporates pews on both levels of the sanctuary. You can see pews in both of the levels here in this picture. The music program at All Souls is renowned for its jazz and African-oriented music and frequently features guest musicians while maintaining a very talented choir. which you can see for yourself in lots of YouTube videos. One of the things we noted as interesting about the services at All Souls is that the worship leader selects only a couple of announcements to read at the beginning of the service, and all the rest of the announcements are given in a lengthy bulletin that's included with the program each week. They also have an adult religious education program currently meeting online called Sacred Texts, Sacred Conversations. At the moment, All Souls has an interim minister, Reverend Kathleen Rowlands, because its senior minister, Reverend Rob Hardees, who's been their minister since 2011, has recently retired. This urban UU church has a proud history of spawning many suburban churches in the Washington area. As All Souls grew in the Washington metropolitan area, members also moved out to the suburbs and started their own UU churches in places like Mount Vernon, Bethesda, Gaithersburg, all sorts of places around the DC area, Arlington, Alexandria. At the moment, All Souls currently has 1,000 members with 500 pledging units and a church school membership of 280. Our next visiting took place in 2016 on a genealogy trip where we went to the Unitarian Society of Hartford. And we had gone to Hartford because I was researching the New England records for the people who ended up in Ohio, who I talked about earlier in the Athens, Ohio fellowship. That Sunday service that we attended was on the same day, held on the same day as the University of Hartford graduation day. So you'll see the street that runs along the right-hand side of this particular picture. That was full of cars the day that we attended the fellowship. And the members of this congregation, Unitarian Society of Hartford, were standing out street side, handing out roses to all the families of the graduating seniors and other attendees at the university's graduation ceremonies. They, as they handed out the roses, they were also handing out leaflets for what social action activities the Unitarian Society was carrying on at that time, including the Black Lives Matter banner that they had recently installed. You can see in this picture there's a very large front lawn where they put a Black Lives Matter sign street side. And we thought that when they handed out the roses, that was a really nice idea, but we were kind of taken aback when we got to the parking lot at this congregation because there were several police cars standing by with their lights flashing and so forth. And we kind of wondered what was going on. During the service, we found out that after they put the Black Lives Matter sign out on their lawn, it had been vandalized many times. Either somebody spray painted over it or they ripped it out of the lawn and took it away with them. So the congregation decided that they were definitely going to keep replacing the sign. Every time it was vandalized, they put another one just like it right back where it was. And they also reached out to the local police community to try to let them understand why this issue mattered so much to them. So the police cars that were there for the service that we attended were there because they had a very collegial relationship with the Unitarian Society of Hartford based on a lot of conversations that they'd had together. So the police actually wanted to help protect the congregation from further vandalism, as well as displaying solidarity with the Black Lives Matter movement. The Hartford Society consists of 211 members, so it's a little bit more like Stony Brook. They have 140 pledging units and a church school membership of 45. It was organized in 1844, and their current building, occupied since 1964, was designed by an architect named Victor Lundy. Some people call it a spider's web, or they also call it a spaceship. The Society's sanctuary is dominated by flanking organ pipes and handmade banners. The striking architecture of the building is matched by the striking wooden ceiling in the sanctuary. And rows of pews slope down towards the altar area, which you can see in this picture with the flowers. A robust choir highlights the services with hymns and musical reflections. And at the Hartford congregation, joys and sorrows are celebrated during the service. Members come down the steps to the area near the altar, and they light candles silently in honor of either a joy or a sorrow in their life. The Hartford congregation has joint ministers, Reverend Kathy and Reverend Heather Ryan Starr, who describe themselves as a Unitarian Universalist co-minister clergy family. They were called together to serve the Hartford Society in 2014, and they split their ministerial duties 50-50. I hope you've enjoyed a few of our visits to UU sanctuaries. We encourage you to seek out UU churches when you travel away from home. You will find a lot of similarities within our extended faith community, and you might even bring back to UUFSB ideas and practices to try in our beloved community. When away from home, bring a little UU denominational home into your lives. Our closing hymn is 1064, Blue Boat Home. Peter will play an introduction, and then we will sing all 3 verses. Our closing words, "So we are bound together," were written by Elizabeth Lerner McKay. As drops of rain that find each other and build to become a track, a rivulet, a stream, a river, a sea, so are we drawn together. So are we fortunate to find each other. So are we bound together on this shared passage toward an unknown ocean and eternity.
As our service draws to a close, I will extinguish our candle and sound our closing bell.
I offer these words of benediction from Susan Carlson. We leave blessed by our connections to one another, to the spirit of life. Walk lightly, that you see the life that is below your feet. Spread your arms as if you had wings and could dance through the air. Feel the joy of the breath in your lungs and the fire in your heart. Live to love and be a blessing on this earth.